So what is happening to the Bitcoin price? We finally thought the bulls had took charge and were sending Bitcoin to the moon. Well, not quite the moon, but at least breaking them all important resistance levels that have been keeping Bitcoin at bay for the last 6 weeks, trading in that channel between $30,000 and $40,000. So what is happening with the Bitcoin price now? Well, we're going to have a look at the charts and see where Bitcoin got rejected, what it got rejected on, and where we see the price action in the next few days or even weeks. Also, we're going to be looking at the news and seeing what the top analysts are saying about Bitcoin. Are they still bullish and going to shoot Bitcoin to 100k, and are the laser eyes coming back out? Or are they backtracking on their words now and turning bearish? Well, if you want to know more and that sounds like something you're interested in, stay tuned and let's get it. So for the Bitcoin price, let's not hang about and jump straight into the chart. So let me get out of the way and we'll jump straight into the chart now and look at Bitcoin's price action. Well, there's no surprising if you've been following this channel a little while now that Bitcoin is trading in this 30,000 to 41,000 channel. Now, obviously Bitcoin's been trading sideways for a long time now, and we've been scraping and hoping to pull out some patterns, and we've also been looking at this descending triangle, hoping that Bitcoin breaks out to the upside and the bulls start taking charge. But let's see what happened with Bitcoin's recent breakout and why it got rejected. So as you can see with the price action here, Bitcoin took a bounce off the 30,000 support and started having momentum all the way up. And it was pretty much a one-stop show all the way up to touch this sort of resistance on this descending triangle. And this was where we put this line in. If you've been following this channel, it's been in now for the last, I'd say the last 2 weeks. And they were using it more as resistance, where we on this channel, obviously as the community, have put this line over the last 2 weeks. That was testing more of support than the descending triangle was. And this is exactly how we predicted it on this channel here. And this is the support line here. And this is where the descending triangle line is here. So you can see that the actual test was against this all important $34,500 resistance. Now we were hoping obviously it was going to play out this nice W pattern, and as we know, them trend lines shoot to the upside. We was hoping for a bounce out, a retest, and then to the moon. But that didn't quite happen. So what happened with the Bitcoin price? Well, as you can see here, we've got the 50-day and the 200-day moving average. And the 200-day moving average has tickled as resistance, and Bitcoin's price got chopped. And it started getting rejected around about here, which was, let's just whack a little line in there for everyone so we can sort of see what price action was. So the first big candle got rejected and it was at 36,300. Now, obviously this W, some people might say it played out because it did break out of this descending triangle and it did go up and start getting rejected at the 200-day moving average. But when you do technical analysis, you can't cross your fingers, dream and hope that we can use that as an explanation, because for me, this was a weak fake out. This was the bulls trying to make momentum, getting people to get a bit euphoric again, and it was what they call a bull trap. A lot of people on the YouTube, on the socials, are playing conservative in the technical analysis, and I'm not going to mention names because we don't do this on this channel, but they're saying because of this fake out now that Bitcoin is going to break more to the downside. And a lot of them now have moved away from this descending triangle and just keep moving their indicators up, because they're saying now that obviously because of Bitcoin took that rejection, they've actually moved their descending triangle to something that probably resembles a bit more, if I can get in because this is a long way, a bit more like this. Okay, and they're saying that more likely to the downside, that Bitcoin now, if it breaks down, is going to break down to this. If you know how descending triangles work, if it's going to break up and down, normally it does what happens with the back of the triangle. Now, and they're saying that it's going to break down and it's going to be, I'll just get it to the support there. I think this was all the way down at 12,000. Let me blow your mind with this waffle that's being put out there. Yeah, so if that's true, it's down. They say if it breaks down, Bitcoin's going to go down to 10,300. Now they say, is it likely to do that? Well, there is some strong support levels here on the way down. So in my opinion, no, it's not. It's not going to do that. But let me tell you why that's a bit absurd at this moment in time. Is because you can't just keep moving your descending triangles willy-nilly. I mean, it has got a 3-point touch here, so it is quite validated. But Bitcoin at the moment is still trading in this channel here, and we know that this 30,000 support has been hammered quite a few times. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And as we know, if it gets tested again, that will be the 6th time it's been tested. And that is quite a lot for a support. So likelihood it might dip down. But then what's happening to say that A, there's not going to be a fake out of the downside. And B, that how will it Bitcoin and what is happening in the market for it to drop from bouncing off a 30,000 support down to 10,000? So for me, this sounds absolutely ludicrous. And if anyone's been watching some of the other socials and the price analytics, if you're thinking Bitcoin's about to get rejected here, break the $30,000 resistance and shoot down to $10,000 on this kind of move, I think you'll be in for a long wait, and I wouldn't put a short on it. Because there's some fundamentals that people are not taking into account. Obviously, we look at the charts and we play patterns and we read them out like a novel, like a storybook to the viewers. But we also have to look at what's going on with Bitcoin. Have a look at the volume. There's not that many people buying and selling Bitcoin at the moment. Yes, Bitcoin's had a pump, and yes, it's had a dump, and the volume's mediocre. Well, it's medium, it's average. But there's not a lot of, downward action to say that for it to dump that much, we're going to have a bigger crash than what happened when the crash started all this off. So, and there's not that much manipulation in the market at the moment. Yes, Bitcoin is showing on the indicators as oversold. Yes, there's some medium volume in there. And yes, it did get rejected. But let's put this line back to where we had it, which was here, right? And it came from this top here. So let me just enlarge up here, because we're going to go into the daily thing, time frame in a moment. But if we put this here and we say that this has been tested once, twice, 3 times, 4 times, and then it broke out, and then because this is moving it downwards in the other way. So when we move price action up, trend lines up, we can say, yeah, this is a trend line, then this is Bitcoin going to fall to this thing. But what about if we move it down in favor of the bulls? You could say Bitcoin's getting broke into this descending triangle and getting retested to break out. And the only thing that's going to stop it on resistance is the 50-day moving average and obviously the descending triangle. Now, the likelihood of that happening is probably the same likelihood as Bitcoin dropping to 10,000. So what do we think Bitcoin will do? Well, for me, I think Bitcoin's going to continue to trade in these channels. And if we have a look where Bitcoin stopped right now, and I'm going to zoom this in a little bit for everyone so we can just see where Bitcoin found these levels. And we're going to draw some trend lines. So when Bitcoin was hitting the resistance, it was more hitting the resistance we put in on this channel than it was hitting the descending triangle. And if we have a look here, it played out almost perfectly to what's happening across the board. So we're just going to draw this line out here. There we go, nice straight line. So you could say it got confirmed here, and then it was acting as resistance. We smashed through resistance. We came out of the descending triangle, got rejected at the 200-day moving average, came back in, broke through the original support, retested the support here perfectly on this bullish candle here, and we got rejected and fell to the downside. Now let's also put a line in on where it's stopped at the downside. It's absolutely more or less perfectly in this support area here. You see all this price action here. So if we put it down at the bottom here, you can see this has been hit once, twice, acted as resistance there, came back in, retested, came through, broke back up in this W pattern, then shot back down, retested 30, came back up, used it as resistance again, broke back down, and this is 33,300. Came back up, and then now we're using it as support. But what is Bitcoin doing, and what do we need Bitcoin to continue doing in this channel for us to stay bullish on Bitcoin? Well, obviously, without saying, we need Bitcoin to go up, but we also need Bitcoin to keep putting in these higher highs, and if we start breaking to the upside, we need to put it in the lower lows. So we've got higher high, obviously from this one, and when we close and we take a bounce, if we do, we can see it's a lower low. Now, a higher high and a lower low would indicate that we're bullish. It would indicate that the rejection was just obviously not enough appetite in the market, because obviously look at the volume. So there was no real institutional money in there. It was a lot of retail and net worth people shooting that up. You can see obviously when Bitcoin broke this to the downside here, this is when the higher volume come in. And let me tell you, everyone that's trading Bitcoin, all you need to do is ask yourself this same question: why did the higher volume come in on these candles here? Why is the higher volume coming on these candles here? Because in my opinion, and you can also drop a comment, challenge me on this, because it is just opinion and we welcome healthy debates on this channel, this is people front running that Bitcoin's going to bounce off here. So that's people front running and break 30,000 to the downside. And the higher volume here is the confirmation candles that Bitcoin's got rejected at the support and is shooting to the upside. So this is people front running. This is the bears front running, in my opinion, the higher volume. They're saying that Bitcoin's going to test the 30,000 again and it's going down. Now, on this channel, you know, we were using this as a buy box and we expected Bitcoin to take a 30,000 line rejection and bounce to the upside, and it played out exactly as it did. And we put a long in here and we cashed out. Well, I'll be honest, I cashed out here just to take profits because this is where the support was getting this is where the resistance was getting hit, and it was 50-50 if it was going to take a rejection there. So that was the time to take profits. And we was waiting on a confirmation of this shooting out, retouching the descending triangle or the resistance here that turned into support and shooting up. We never got that confirmation. We just shot to the downside. So and people following this channel never put a long back in here because we didn't get the confirmation. But we did follow this long all the way up here, which I think was about 15%. So we got in here on the confirmation candle and we would have got out here. It was, sorry, 10%. Not going to change your life, not going to make the world, but profit is profit. And we like to be in profit on this channel. So that's what's been happening with Bitcoin in a nutshell. I don't want to jargon everyone with Fibonacci retracements, old news of how Bitcoin traded in 2013 and if we're seeing Bitcoin retrace these steps. If you're a big fan of the Wyckoff movement, which we know has been playing out in certain aspects, you could say this was a confirmation of a higher high and a lower low on the Wyckoff here, where it puts in the absolute bottom bounce, it comes back in, puts in a higher high, a lower low, but we need now to continue. If this is the spring, as we see here, the spring that everyone talked about, and put in high high and high lows, to me this has already been invalidated. But people that want to sort of cling to this kind of chart, then it still is got a little bit of momentum in there if you're counting that as the big drop down with a high volume, the bounce, and then putting in the higher highs and higher lows. You'll see the big volume down, up, the bounce, putting in higher highs and higher lows, shooting into phase D. But let's talk realistic. For me, I think it's a big make or break point for Bitcoin if it's going to break below this on the 4 hourly. And also, if we have a look on the daily quickly, you'll see Bitcoin that's where it got rejected from the lines that we just put in. This is where we put in a few weeks ago. This is the line we just put in now, where we see Bitcoin maybe getting rejected because obviously the price action has fell down from there to 33,100, which is about here. So you can see Bitcoin is still falling down a little bit, and it needs to bounce off this to then continue to put in its higher highs and higher lows and test again this support level at 35,000. But also Bitcoin, for me, could get tested at the 31,000 mark. Now, I know a lot of people say, the analysts say it could go up or could go down. For me, I just think Bitcoin's trading in this sideways channel. But if we break to 30,000 for the 6th time, I think then we're more likely to see Bitcoin break a bit further down into this buy box here, and maybe start turning this bottom of this buy box, which is about 28,000, 29,000, into support. But before that, you'll see Bitcoin break down to around about this level here, which seemed to be strong resistance, about 31,500, and hopefully we'll get a bounce off here. So just keep your eye on the Bitcoin price of this kind of area here, because if Bitcoin breaks below that, we're going to probably see downward momentum, retesting out this 30,000, and then that's a big make or break for Bitcoin, because that'll be 6 times it's hit it. So we're more likely to see a bit more downwards momentum and price action around here. So that's pretty much the basic for the Bitcoin price analysis. I'm not going to start pulling out the Fibonacci retracements to say that this popped in the golden pocket and this was bounced off nicely of a high, because to me that just boggles your mind. Bitcoin's not that exciting at the moment where you need all these overcomplicated technical graphs, because if there was a lot of higher highs and higher lows in there, or lower highs and lower lows, and a lot of swings and a lot of big patterns breaking out, and Bitcoin was moving quite a bit quicker like it did at the beginning of the year, then we could start playing out these patterns. But Bitcoin's slow at the moment. You know, it's hard to trade Bitcoin because it's literally just up down in this channel, and the game is people trying to guess if it's going to actually touch the resistance and break down to the support, or if it's going to just literally break away from the support and start trading in these other channels of support area. But again, as long as you know that Bitcoin at the moment is still trading in that channel, there's no real like big movements or big volume coming in to put Bitcoin below the 31,000 or above the 41,000. It's just literally trading in that 10k buffer area that we've seen Bitcoin trading in now for 6 weeks. So let's move on to the news now and quickly just reiterate a little bit of what's been said in the Bitcoin news. And Willy Woo, Rick Astley's holders, Willy Woo, Rick Astley, holders a key force again on the on-chain signal suggested recovery. So let's read that slowly again, sorry. Willy Woo, Rick Astley, holders a key force again, and on-chain signals suggest recovery. So let's just quickly say what Willy Woo is saying here. He's saying here that the Willy Woo believes that it is not a bear market yet because on-chain indicators are signaling a recovery and that the asset is still being brought up by long-term holders. So Willy Woo's still saying that the on-chain data is saying that we're still in a bull market. We're still bullish on Bitcoin because the recovery is in sight with the on-chain indicators signaling that people are long-term holders and they're not selling their Bitcoin. Now, let me just tell you a couple of fundamentals about this. We know we had that big sell-off and the hash rate crash when the miners had to move from China because they sold off a lot of their Bitcoin to raise capital to move their mining equipment. That was done, and we know about that. We know that Michael Saylor brought up a lot of Bitcoin and continued to buy. We know there's outside interest from the institutions, but they need a couple of things to happen before they start putting Bitcoin on their balance sheets. Like they need to know that the price is sort of where it is and at its kind of lowest for their risk appetite. And they also need the green credits and the green light that Bitcoin's going green in order for them to look good to the institutions and for it to get signed off on their balance sheets. So once that starts happening, and if that happens quick enough, because obviously these miners have only just moved and they've gone to places with cleaner energy, more sustainable energy. Elon Musk said he only needed 50% more cleaner energy mined with Bitcoin, and that's probably almost nearly there now. Then we're going to see a bit more bullish momentum on Bitcoin. And we've also known that the summer months of, if you've been in crypto a while, have been a bit stagnant and a bit, kind of calm for the crypto space. And that coming into the winter, when people come back indoors, they start getting on their computers, they start being bored again. You get also the gamblers coming back into the Bitcoin, which we've seen at the beginning of the year. And then Bitcoin's price momentum and price charts start making a move. So let me know what you think about all that. And also let me know if you think this is valuable educational information and that you agree with these price charts and that you agree with Bitcoin being boring trading in that channel. Or would you like to see a lot more in-depth technical analysis? Do you want to see more of the retracements, more of the patterns? Do you want to see more historical data being compared to current data? And also, do you want to see a lot more what I like to say is the volume spread analysis, trading in the volume footprints. So anyway, thanks for watching this video. If you've watched this video to the end, please slap a like, hit that subscribe button, tickle that notification bell, as it really helps the channel. It makes me happy. It will make you happier knowing that you've done a good deed for the day. But as always, trade smart, trade safe, and don't get ripped.